A very fresh and a very beautiful morning to one and all present there. How are you all? I hope you all are fit, fine, and healthy. We are back with English subject for class 8. As we have already discussed that we are going to have an assignment, that is a work submission, and submission date is 12th December 2020. The written stuff will be given to you in your group, but as we in the previous video also we had discussed that what will be the topic. So our topic will be to write a speech on the Women's Day. On the day of Women's Day celebration, we have to write a speech on it. That is the 21st century. Okay, I'll show you the. Okay, it is a topic that is in your workbook, page number 37. I'll give you that in a written form in your class group. But make sure you read that topic and you need to write 2 pages on that particular topic. Okay, so it's just a gentle reminder for you all to complete it as soon as possible. And we are now coming back to the lesson we have left. Today is definitely the last day of this lesson. That is the third part of the story. We have already completed 2 part of the story from section number 2, unit 3, conflict and hope, section number 2, that is can we change this. This is the third part of the story. For in the first part we discussed there was a scene of Niker, and they introduced us who were Palas and who were the pariahs. The Palas were the people belonging to upper caste and pariahs were the people belonging to lower caste. And there were the problem of untouchability. The pariahs never touched the work, never touched the people, nor they touched their stuff of the pariahs. So the first incident was about Niker, one young man holding the parcel of food with a string in his hand. So that was a story number 1. In the second story, there was an incident of the grandmother of this young girl who was always treated very badly, no matter of her age. The small kids of the Niker family also used to order her, and she has to bid. They used to give them food which was not for their use. So the food which they were going to throw it away, they used to give it to the grandmother of this young girl who was also a pariahs. So this way they always made them feel inferior, and they were always given what was left by the Palas. So this was the story first part and second part. Moving on to the third part, that is the third part of the story. So we'll begin now. It was the same story at school though. They always spoke ill about people of our caste. If ever anything bad happened, they would say immediately and without hesitation that it must be one of the cherry children who did it. Now, these cherry children are the people who are belonging to pariahs. Okay, so they belong to the cherry community. So, in the school, she worked so hard that his elder brother was always. Her elder brother always told her that you should work hard and you should study well. If you do so, then you will get respect in the society and people will come to you out of your work. And so she stood first in the class, and because of that many people became her friends. So this was in the second part of the story. So now she faced the untouchability even in the school. Then the pariahs were always scolded. Even if they do not do any wrong stuff, they then also without hesitation they would say their name only, even though the wrong act is done by the palas but not pariahs. So it was the same in the school though. They always spoke ill. Ill means they always spoke bad about these cherry community people. If ever anything happened, bad had happened, then they would say immediately without hesitation that it must be one of the cherry children who did it. About 3/4 of the children in the school were Palar and Parayar. At the same, all the same, the school was on Nadar Street. Now, what is the meaning of Nadar? Nadar is the name of a caste. Okay, so everyone seemed to think Harijan children. Now, who are Harijan children? Harijan children are the people or the group of people of the lowest social status, traditionally considered to be untouchable. Okay, so these Harijan people, they are considered to be untouched by everyone. So they maximum these people who belonging to Harijan community, they always face this untouchability kind of stuff. So they were the main victim of the untouchability. So everyone seemed to think that Harijan children were contemptible. What is contemptible, dear students? I'll write it for you here. Okay. Now contemptible. Contemptible means not deserving any respect or at all. It means not deserving any respect. Okay, so these Harijan children were always contemptible, that they do not really deserve any respect and they should be always blamed for whatever bad they had happened. But they didn't hesitate to use us for cheap labor. So whenever there is any requirement of the cheap labor, because the people belonging to these people, the Palar, the people belonging to Palar people, they are always, they demanded high wages. Okay, they demanded high money for the small work. But these people belonging to Harijan, they were always being um, called for cheap labor, because they are considered as a lower caste of the society. So they were being given very cheap labor, that means very few money for the work they do. So they never hesitate to use them as a cheap labor. For labor work, for any work, they used to call these Harijan people. But when there is a when it is time to give respect, then they are not given any respect. In fact, they do not hesitate to bring their name in any bad situation. So we carried water to the teacher's house, we watered the plants, we did all the chores that were needed in the school. Now, dear students, who are we? We is the young girl who is speaking, that we means she and the people and the students and the children belonging to her community. So all that part of the class who are belonging to Parayar, they were treated as very cheap labor. And when it is time to give to carry water to the teacher's house, when it is a work of watering the plants, though they are not wrong act, but they are considered as some work which should not be done by Palar people, but they should be done by the people belonging to lower caste. So she and her mates and her classmates who belonged to her community, they carried water to the teacher's house. They carried water, they watered the plants, and they did all the chores that were needed in the school. Then I was in 7th class, class 7. Every day after school, I would play with the other children of our street before going home. Now, dear students, what happens? She faced these all these kind of untouchability and she became the victim of it. And finally, what happened? There is very important incident happened in her life when she was in class 7. Every day after school, they used to play with the other children of the street before going home. So in playing, there was no Palar and no Parayas. They all collectively played together. There were two or three children who were related to me, and other boys and girls who always played together as a group. So one day we were playing on a big neem tree in front of the school. So now this big neem tree you can see on page number 79 of your course book. Okay, so here there were two or three children who were related to her, that means to belonging to her community, and other boys and girls who always played together as a group. So one day we were playing on a big neem tree in front of the school, hanging like bats, just as bat hangs on a tree. Their legs are upside down. So that way they were hanging like bats upside down from its branches. After a while, we started on another game, running right up the coconut palm and touching its tip. The coconut palm grew slantwise. Now, what is slantwise means? At an angle or in a sloping direction. It started becoming slanting, okay? Teda. At a convenient angle. If you came running along from a distance at top speed, you could reach right to its tip and touch the coconut growing there. Spurred on by the excitement of the first few who managed to touch the coconut, those who came later grabbed it and gave it a twist before climbing down. By the time I got there, the coconut fell at my touch, dropping with a thud. It wasn't even a fully ripened coconut, just a green one, without so much as water in it. All the children were frightened and ready to scatter. Everyone said that it was I who had plucked it. Then we just left it there and ran away. So now what happened with this girl that uh, they were playing all on that coconut tree, and after that they started with another game, running right up in the coconut palm and touching its tip. Okay, so this was the kind of game they were playing there. And you could reach to its tip and touch the coconut there. Spurred on by the excitement of the first few who managed to touch the coconut, those who came later grabbed it and gave it a twist before climbing down. So by the time I got there, the coconut fell at my touch and dropping with a third. So that one coconut which was green, which was very green, which was not ripened, that fell off the coconut tree. It wasn't a fully ripened, so there must be not much water inside the coconut. So all the children were frightened, and they were ready to hide somewhere. Everyone said that it was that girl, that young girl who plucked it. So she left it there and she ran home. She was very much confused that she just plucked one coconut out of it. The next morning at assembly, the headmaster called out my name. "You have shown us your true nature as a pariah," he said. "You climbed the coconut tree yesterday after everybody else had gone home, and you stole a coconut." Okay, so she was being called a theft. Okay, she didn't willingly pluck the coconut, but what happened, that coconut with the small touch, it just fell down with a third sound. And when she found that she has done it mistakenly, she just left it there and ran away home. She didn't took it along with her. But in the assembly, in front of everyone, the teacher scolded her that you have shown us your true color, that who you are, what community you belong to. You climbed that coconut tree after everybody went home and you stole a coconut from it. We cannot allow you inside the school. Stand outside. I was in agony because I had been shamed and insulted in front of all the children for the act which she has not done. All the children eyed me in a strange way. That means everyone was looking at her with a shameful act, with a shameful eye, that what have you done? And walked off to their classes. I was in such shock and pain, I didn't know what to do. Then a teacher who lived on our street came by and advised me to go to the priest, tell him everything. Now priest is a person who takes care of the church. So the teacher advised that you should go to the priest and discuss it with him, that what to do next, and bring a letter from him to the headmaster. So if the priest writes that she's been pardoned, then the headmaster can allow her to sit inside the class. I went to the priest and told him the whole story in detail and begged him to give me permission to go back to school. The priest's first response was to say, "After all, you are from the cherry. You might have done it." That means there are 90% chances that you have done the wrong act, because you are belonging to such community who does such kind of mischievous act, who does all kind of bad work. Even though you have not done, so there are 90% chances that such kind of blood is in your veins and you might have done it. You must have done it. The tears started welling up in my eyes and I wept. She started crying after hearing this from the priest also. When she has confessed that what has happened, she has confessed the truth. But then also she is being blamed. After a long time, the priest wrote a note asking that I should be allowed to return to the school. Okay, when I took it to the headmaster, he abused me roundly. He abused means in a forceful and a clearly manner. He abused him. Okay, using every bad word that came to his mouth, and then told me to go to my classroom. When I entered the classroom, the entire class turned round to look at me, and I wanted to shrink into myself as I went and sat on my bench, still weeping. It is an extract from Karuku written by Bama. So here you can see that how she is being blamed and abused. So here you can see that how these people are blamed, they are abused, even if they are innocent, even if they are of pure heart, they are not heard, their request is not mentioned section. So this is how they are treated, even if they have not done anything wrong, but they are being blamed just because they belong to a particular community, they belong to a lower caste. So this should be eradicated from our society, and we the young generation should take a oath that we should not treat people according to their caste, but we should behave with them just as because of their deeds. So this is what we learned, the moral of the lesson, moral of the whole story, that we should treat people because how we should treat how their deeds are, not with how their caste is. So you need to write down all the glossary words in your notebook, and we will discuss its question answers. The PDF will be sent in the group regarding its question and answers. So kindly write it and complete it and show it to me on the WhatsApp. That's it.